Hey, garden friends, you don't want to sit with me, Rachel? Oh, she loves my husband. Me, she could care less about. Anyways, welcome on back. I am back from vacation and I have so much to share with you about that. But today we are going to talk about a new to me method of plant propagation with cuttings. I wanted to hurry up and share this because I have been mentioning it to people who hit upon my blog and YouTube channel or YouTube video on propagating roses from cuttings. And I've been telling people that I was trying a new method and I wanted to share it once I knew how it was going to work. So that's what this is about today. So let's get rolling on this new method to me of plant propagation. And it seemed to work great. Well, garden friends, Bouchard Gardens was a pure delight. I went through it twice. And when you walk in, I'm not going to share all of it today. I'm going to do a whole video on it or include clips here and there. But when you walk in and you see that the trash cans are gracing bouquets all over them that are flower planters, you know that it's going to be wonderful. And it was. It was so inspirational, and I will share the inspiration of what I am going to implement in my garden from that visit. But today, I really wanted to get to this plant propagation method. Yes, I don't know. Oh, I landed on this in a garden forum that was very old from years ago. And a gal was talking about she'd never been successful in propagating cuttings from her clematis. And that she tried a method similar to this, and it really worked for her, and it worked quickly. So I wanted to try it for a lot of different things, and I have. And I will take you along and I will share with you right now what that method is and how it's working for even the roses. I got a hummingbird that there's a feeder right over the top of the camera. Anyways, so let's get on to that. And we are going to step over into the greenhouse for this because that's where I have it set up. So first of all, here is the setup. This is just a little Sterlite clear container that you would use for storage. This is a piece of wire mesh called, what is this called? Oh dear. Anyways, I'll show you. It's a 1/2 inch. I get it at Tractor Supply, but you see here, this is the 1/2 inch size wire cloth, not wire cloth. What is it called? Something like that. Anyways, yeah, I'll think of the name and I'll put it up. Anyways, it's just a mesh of small piece of wire, and I cut a piece to size and set it on top. I did put some tape around the edges because it could be really sharp. This is just painter's tape and it's not sticking that well there, but look at all the different cuttings I have in here. This has just been phenomenal. This one right here is pineapple sage, which I've already potted up a couple of them that I did in there because they rooted really fast. Now the other cuttings that I have started to put in here are some roses. I did, this is a hydrangea, and this is boxwood. I just put that in recently. So let's talk about what the setup is. So right here, can you see this? Let me point you down a little more. This right here is an aquarium pump. I got this at Walmart. It was maybe $12. The hose here came with it. Then down in there is what's called an oxygen stone. I don't think I saved the box for it. Oxygen stone that this pipe runs through, and then the bubbles come up and it oxygenates the water. It keeps it fresh. You know how when you put cuttings into a container of water, the water can start getting yucky? And that's what happened when I did the roses that I did start in water. I shared those in a past video, and I will link that. But so a lot of people will take the cutting And so that it stands up instead of leaning over in here, you see a lot of these are leaning, even though I have them in the wire mesh. They put like a piece of cheap sponge so it expands in the little square to make it stand upright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use these. Now, one of these, this is a limelight hydrangea, and I just put this one in here recently. And I'm going to stick it in there and then stick that on it, and then that holds it upright. You see how easy that was? Now this is a piece of Nepeta, and I just put that in there too, but it looked like it's already starting to send out little nubs. There. Some things are much faster to root than others. I will show you. I was getting so excited because I saw all these roots going into here. And I thought, wow, everything's rooting really quick. Well, it was just one thing, and that's this pineapple sage. And look at that. And that was going everywhere. I do not see anything else with roots, but I'll share with you how I know they are starting to root. Now this I will pot up into a container like this. In fact, I'll do that right now so that I don't have to stick it back in there. Forgive the state of my greenhouse. I haven't been in here working because it gets too hot during the day, and I'm trying to hurry up here so the sun doesn't hit before I'm done. Yeah, so you will have recognized the greenhouse when it's in its better state and when I'm in here working in the winter and early spring. But let's pot up this piece of pineapple sage. The scent of this is like pineapple. It's just amazing, and I love it. I could put it in this, but you see how hard it would be to fit all of that in there. So I have the taller pots, and I will grab one to put that in. Usually I wouldn't put it in such a large one. I would put it in a narrower one, but this one was easiest to grab. So this is just my Edna's Best soil that I get locally. Any good potting soil works, as well as I have now the compost to make my DIY potting soil, which I do like too. And I think I have all the components. I pretty much, yeah, do. It's just so much cheaper when you can buy things it in bulk instead of having the bag after bag. Alrighty, so there we potted up that well-rooted pineapple sage, and I have the others over here on this bench. And they've never missed a beat. Even when I potted them up, you know, sometimes they will, you know, wilt and show shock. I didn't have any issues, even though it gets pretty hot in here. So I will just water that in with the organic Rev. That also helps with shock. And I really like this product. So I use it when I pot things up. But I will worry about that later. We'll get back to this, and I'll show you how I know that the roses are beginning to root. Now, I would say I've had them in here maybe a month. I'll have to look at my date when I bought this, but it's not been more than 4 weeks. And I just like being able to see if something is starting to root, and I have had no issues of rot. I've had no issues of them turning black, nothing. So let's take a look at some of the rose cuttings that I put in here with this to root them. Okay, this is just my container of little clothespins. I had to move something out of my way in here. I need to declutter my greenhouse. Okay, so I'm going to find one of my cuttings that is starting to show evidence of rooting, and that's not one of them. I had put tape on them hoping that would hold them up, but it didn't. So let's see if this will hold this up where I want it. Okay. All right, let me dig out another one. Some of them I had put in longer, and I didn't separate them out. I was just throwing them in here. So that one too. Now the ones that are not marked are Eden. So I don't have a clothespin marked that, but so I will put that in here to hold that up. So I know there's some in here that have started to put out what I need for to know that it is starting to root. And I'll just have to keep ticking. I'm looking, where is that one? Aha. This one? Yes, this one. And here with several others. I tried to poke mini into one slot so it would hold it up. And I don't want to rub this too hard. I'm going to have to do something different than that. All right. Can you see that? See those little white nubs everywhere? That is the beginning of roots. And you notice how healthy this cane looks, or this cutting, and there's no rot, there's no wilt in the leaves, nothing. So I'm going to put this up over here, or I could get it down in there and have it held up with that. Okay, let me see if there's any others. Oh yes, this one right here is the same. You see that one? See how that one has the little white nubs growing? But this one, the leaf does look a little scorched. And you could remove that. You don't have to have the leaves on it, but I'm going to leave it be for now. So I'm going to set that back in here. Now it doesn't matter how close it is to the oxygenator. All of this water is filled with oxygen. So I am going to take all of these out. Oh, here's another really nice one. See this one? It even looks like it has a little root starting right there. Isn't that great? So this one looks beautiful and healthy. So I'll just put that one right here. So that's a win with those. And like I said, some are in here are fresher than others, so that meaning they haven't had a chance to root. But this is a piece of a hardy hibiscus, not hibiscus, I'm sorry, of my paniculata hydrangea. And you see how it's, I don't know if that's root growth or if that's just leaf growth. But even though this whole thing looks brown, because this time of year the canes are brown, they're not green. Stems, whatever you want to call them. So this one, it still has a little growth on it up here. I don't see any evidence of roots yet, but time will tell. Now these are the Limelight, which they're no longer under patent. Okay, this one has some little white nubs right here along the edge. So that could be very well be root. So let me see. I'll get another one of these out. And what I'm going to do is do a bunch of them, a couple of them in here, so that it'll hold them upright in the water. Let's see about this one. So that is all good. All great. So I'm going to put these, that's kind of crooked there, in here. Now this is totally an experiment. Just get them down in there. Just that way it'll just hold them upright better. There. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So, let me see, what does this one look like? Oh yeah, this one has a ton of root starts too. Let me get that one out so I can pin it up as well. Look at this. Isn't that glorious? Yeah. And so if you are having a very hard time in getting cuttings not to rot on you when you do it in soil, then this might be the ticket for you. And it's relatively inexpensive. I already had the container, this Sterlite container. Let me back you up so I can talk. Yeah, I already had the Sterlite container, which they're not that expensive. So you could pick one up at Walmart, Dollar General, etc. And yeah, good to go. These, I've had these forever, so I don't know what they run. But you can also use, I mean, some people, like I said, use a little piece of sponge they wrap around it, and when it expands, it holds them upright in that. And I just did the boxwood, so I doubt they've got anything going on, but I just wired those together when I first put them in, because I knew they would get lost in there because they're smaller. So I could also pin those. This is just a regular boxwood. The ones that don't smell like cat pee. I had one of those. I took it out. It was horrible. I don't know how anybody can stand those in their garden. Okay, now I do come and I top this up with water. This is just regular water in here, right out of my hose. And I just check the level and I just top it up. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, I'll put these all. Anyways, the pump, I'm sure it was $12. The little stone was like $2. The hose came with it. Also had this where it can't go back into, you can't suck water back into the pump. Now, that is the latest method I am using. I had been using another method that's almost similar, but not quite. But it's different than what I have shared before. So I'm going to go get that, bring it in here, and share that with you too. Alrighty, you see this pot right here? This is a terracotta pot, a larger one, with a smaller one set inside of it. And then this is filled up with mostly, I think this is all sand. I used sand because I have a friend who propagates a lot of things. Let me see, can you see this without, I'm chopping my head off. I have a friend and she propagated roses all the time and she just used sand. And she was always successful, or much more successful than I have been lately. I used to have lots of success with the potting soil and mixing it, lightening it up with the perlite, and then recently, I don't know, I do have a problem in this greenhouse with spider mites, and I need to get a fogger so it gets in all the cracks. That's what I was told. Anyways, to really eliminate that problem. So there's that. But this method is you put your cuttings after you've dipped them in your hormone, rooting hormone. I like Hormix 8 for roses. It's a little more potent. There's also a liquid one, a dip and grow, that you can mix the concentration. So you can make it like a 1, or you can mix it up to an 8, whatever, the strength of it. But I find for the rose canes or cuttings that the 8 works better than a 1. You can even root without hormone. I get often asked about using honey or cinnamon for as in place of the rooting hormone. Those are antibacterial. They're not an accelerant for the rooting. The rooting hormone accelerates the cane or cutting in rooting, the rooting process, and that's the difference between them. Now, the whole goal is to get it to root before it rots. So the honey and cinnamon may help with that, but it doesn't accelerate the rooting. So just know that. Anyways, so what you do is you have the cuttings in here and then you fill the inner terracotta pot with water and you keep it filled with water. You don't have to tent it to keep moisture in because the moisture evaporating from this is enough to keep them going. I see, notice, let me move over here. This little rose. These canes I got back in February at the Rose Society, local Rose Society, and we were, they did a fundraiser where everybody brought rose cuttings, and then they sold them for like $1. And so I bought these, and they were from roses I have no idea of. This one's Monsieur Tillier. This I should say I hadn't heard of these roses before. This one is Red Cascade. Isn't that the most beautiful little baby red rose? This one is a pearl in a dragon's mouth. It's not blooming right now, but it has white and then red. It's got a small bloom too. This one just says Gertrude. And this one is Ballerina. And what is this other one? I don't know what this other one is. Anyways, it's not got a marker on it, but that one doesn't look too great, even though it's got, let me see if it's rooting. It's looking really sad. Well, see, that's what I'm talking about, rot. See the black? That's toast. But this method obviously works. Now, I did lose a few. There was one, a vintage one that I lost. I didn't lose very many. I think I lost 2 out of all of these. So out of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I probably had 8. I already potted up 1. I lost 2. So that's a really good success rate. And not having to tent it, nothing. It did take a while because I would pull on them. See, I can pull and I can't pull it out. So I have needed to pot these up for a long time. I just haven't gotten to it. So I will get on that really soon. But that is another method of rooting roses that I have found to be very successful. I have not tried to root any other type of plant in this yet, just the roses. And it's been great. So I hope you found this illuminating and helpful. And if you've not had success with rooting cuttings in any of the other methods I have shared, then try one of these or both of them. As I said, this one over here with the aquarium pump has really impressed me, and I'm going to continue to use it. Now, I want to try to do some of my clematis. The clematis I have taken cuttings of has been too hard. So they root better from soft cuttings. And I need to, I've got some that just regrew. So yeah, that is something I can try to see how successful that would be. But as I said at the beginning, that's where it was a forum and this gal was trying to root cuttings of clematis and this is what worked for her. So I thought, perfect, I'll try it for these type of plants. And yeah, keeping the water fresh and oxygenated accelerates the rooting. And I've been thrilled with what has happened with the rose cuttings. I'm going to keep trying with the hydrangeas and see. I had some that were real little skinny. I want to do some bigger ones. Like cut some from my limelight for bouquets, and then like the base of the cane that's maybe the size of a pencil thickness or more, and try to root those. Also, I will try to root green or the soft wood cuttings of the hydrangeas through the season and see how well that does. And like I said, I'm trying the boxwoods. Anything soft like the pineapple sage rooted within 2 weeks. It just went so fast. Now, prior to that, I had them in a cup of water, which I kept trying to refresh it. They were just rotting. They were not rooting. And when I stuck them in this, rooted right away. So that's just a super, super win. So I hope you enjoyed this new method of propagation. I will get this greenhouse cleaned up before fall weather hits because I spend a lot of time in here. Love this little greenhouse. And coming up, I'm going to have a video on 10 tips for growing and cut clematis and all the things that I do. And a lot of things I do are different from mainstream or what others do with their clematis, but it's been successful for me. So I wanted to share that with you. So come on back for that. And of course, I will update you on our vacation and the videos of Bouchard Gardens, which were gorgeous. And even some of the gardens in Seattle were beautiful. So see you next time. Bye.